What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lotus Asakura, the one never knows best, and today I want to talk to you guys about the honest thoughts on Dragon Ball FighterZ video that I recently made. You guys know we did a little bit of discussion video. I put out a tweet a few days ago, and then I went through some of the quotes and the replies of people talking about, well, their honest thoughts on Dragon Ball FighterZ. And then, well, the day after that video went up, I of course went back to my comment section like I said I would. I started reading and replying to a bunch of the comments, and then I had a comment that said, hey, you should do a follow-up video where you look through our comments. And I was like, you know what? Why not? So today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So you can see I'm here in my YouTube studio, and we've got the video pulled up, and obviously you're seeing this video the night, well, I'm uploading this video the night that it's being recorded. So like you can see there's other videos that I've put out by this point. So we're scrolling back a little bit, but yeah, like I said, I already replied to some, so you might see some stuff that I already replied to. But yeah, let's go ahead and go through these comments. So I guess we can just read this first one here. It says, yeah, Street Fighter 6 is where it's at until Mortal Kombat comes out. After that game, just really sad to see where the state of Dragon Ball is now compared to where it used to be. And yeah, I think this is a very common sentiment that we saw a lot in the last video, and that we're going to see probably in this video. As for me, Street Fighter 6 is cool and all. I guess it's holding me over until other games come out. Mortal Kombat 1 I actually will be playing. I should be playing in the beta on stream this weekend. So twitch.tv/LotusAsakura, links in the description down below. But I actually should be streaming the beta this weekend, and then obviously when the game releases, assuming that I enjoy the beta, I'll be playing that as well and then having some fun with it. But yeah, like I guess Tekken 8 and Project L are the two games that I'm really waiting and looking forward to. But you know, it is what it is. Then as we scroll down just a tiny bit more, we have a comment that says Season 3 was the best DBFZ bar none. And I disagree. I think a lot of people feel that way. I think Dragon Ball FighterZ was the most fun in seasons 1 and 2, particularly season 2 before GT Goku released. I think a lot of us were like, oh my god, like this is peak, this is the greatest, you know what I'm saying? Like we thought Dragon Ball FighterZ was like perfect. Well, not everyone, but a lot of us, right? And then GT Goku releases, and then people like start optimizing like the fuzzy setups and the loops and everything, and it's just like, you know, it is what it was. I still enjoyed season 2 a lot, and I mean a lot more than season 3 and whatever you want to call this current version of Dragon Ball FighterZ. But that's just me. I think I'm in the minority with that one. But I see. Bro says, much like Inzim, I started playing like a week before Kefla dropped, which would explain a lot why you would, if you wasn't around for the first couple of seasons, the first couple of years, then yeah, you gonna think when you started is when the game was its best, most likely. And I also think it's mashy as fuck right now and kind of dumb. Haven't entered a bracket for it since Heatwave, and I used to grind and play weekly. And to that I say, and it's either outside of Combo Breaker and this next comment I think is also worth reading. You can see it's one that I already actually replied to, but Enderma says, I think there's been somewhat of a divide between DBZ's more casual and more competitive communities because they're both so large. With that, there may be mixed signals of what's balanced to the devs when they're deciding what to change. So saying that's like it's hard for the development team to figure out which direction to go with the game and how to balance certain characters, because the competitive side is saying one thing, the casual side is saying another. And they go on to say, hopefully ArcSys can find a somewhat happy medium, but at this point, who knows? And I replied to saying that I feel like in any fighting game, I think there's going to be a divide between the competitive and the casual side, right? But I feel like, and you could go back and find these DMs. Like I remember talking with Lord Knight early on in DBFZ's like career, not career, like my career, but DBFZ's lifespan. Like I kind of wanted to act as a bridge between those, and I think I've actually done that, you know, being the bridge between the casual and competitive side. And I would say that this is the most unified, and not necessarily directly the results of my own, but just because of the community in general and the other content creators, including Lord Knight himself, especially when he was, you know, still knees deep in DBFZ and everything. But this is the most connected and like conjoined I've seen the casual and competitive side be in a game. And I said that here. And I think most people, whether casual or competitive, agree that the current state of the game is not fun or not ideal, and yet they're still doubling down on it harder and harder. So I don't know what it is. And it goes on to say, agreed. He replied saying that he agrees, and mostly everyone in the community wishes the game was more like how it was in its heyday. The devs are also making the rollback seem like it's always just out of reach each time there's an announcement, which is so maddening. And yeah, a lot of people are really banking on that rollback update being the savior of the game. I'm not convinced that it will be, because even though the netcode is a big thing for a lot of people, and there will be a little bit of a boom, a little bit of a resurgence, and a lot of people who are going to obviously jump on the game to see how the rollback holds up and how good the netcode is. The game itself is still what's flawed, and the game itself is what's preventing a lot of people from playing it, because let's be real, I mean, we're 5 years in, a lot of us have continued to play the game up to this point, and like we were just dealing with the netcode because we like the game that much. And a lot of people reached their breaking point and said, okay, the game just isn't fun anymore, and this is it's that combined with the netcode. The netcode will help, but this bounce patch is going to be very telling as well, and I just don't have high hopes for it, but we'll see. We have a couple more interesting comments here that I want to read. This one comes from DJCo8919. It says, first, I still play the game and I love it. Second, I'm waiting on rollback, but the way I see it, rollback is more of an experiment for Fighters 2. Don't know about that, which I hope is not a Dragon Ball game, but another anime. Well, then it wouldn't really be Fighters 2. I get what he means. I get what he means. Not how I would have worded it, but I get what he means. Praying for One Piece or JoJo. They really should make a series of games called Fighters with different anime each time. It will literally print money. It would print money, but it would also cost a lot of money. And while it is a dream, for a lot of us to get a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ for your favorite anime, it's been 5 years and there's no sequel, or there hasn't been any announcement of any other game like it. So I'm just not convinced that it'll ever happen. And I know we had that interview with him saying that they wanted to tackle more IPs and make more games like this, but I'll believe it when I see it, to be honest. And so I replied with, I have my doubts of there ever being a sequel or even spiritual successor to Dragon Ball FighterZ, but I pray that I'm proven wrong one day, because I would honestly play a game like this for basically any anime. And I mean that. As well, I know I'm not like the biggest like One Piece fan or like Black Clover, right? But if Black Clover or One Piece were to get a game just like DBFZ made by ArcSys, I would play it. I'd play it because I have liked, enjoyed, and I would even say loved every single game that ArcSys has put out since I started playing their games with Guilty Gear Rev 2, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in there. The next comment I wanted to read comes from Joe the Reaper, and his grammar is a little off, but essentially what he's saying is that it feels like the developers don't care anymore because they made their money, so why should they continue to support the game and, you know, basically do us any favors when they've already like washed their hands of the project. And I mean, yeah, I agree that that's how it feels for me too, and that's how it feels for a lot of other people. Like I said, this is a sentiment that I've seen time and time again in Twitch chats, in the YouTube comments, and certainly on Twitter, where it feels like we're not being heard, we're not being cared about. And it's like, how long are they supposed to support and continue to develop a game? I mean, it's been 5 years, but then you look at other games that are still getting support, updates, and content to this day. Like Tekken 8 is on the horizon, and it's only just now that Tekken 7 stops getting stuff, you know what I'm saying? Tekken 7 has been out since 2015 if you're counting the arcade release, 2017 if you're counting consoles, but either way, that's at least 6 years, and that's 8 years if you're counting the arcade release. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, another Dragon Ball game that's also put out by Bandai Namco, albeit developed by a different company in DIMPS. It's been out since 2016, right? So that's, again, 7 years of like content updates, DLC, support, and everything. And granted, again, a lot of these, like any other game I can be like, oh, this game and that game and that game has been out for this long, it's still getting this support and that support and these updates and this DLC, da da da. Those games all have their fair share of flaws as well, you know what I'm saying? Those games have balance issues, or like you know, it'd be a little questionable with how strong some DLC characters release as, and feels a little bit pay to win, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to say like, oh, the grass is green over there, but just in terms of like support and updates, whatever, for a game to be this successful and to be as young, I would say, as it is in comparison to some other games that have been out just as long or longer, it just don't really make sense. It's like, damn, what we gotta do, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's Arc System Works or Bandai, if they really wanted to, they could easily make this game stretch for another 5 years in terms of balance patches, DLC, costumes, skins, whatever. At the end of the day, I don't have all the answers. I don't think we'll ever fully understand the exact reason as to why we don't get certain things in this game, or why this game never got certain stuff. But it's like, just in terms of like the content that exists in the world of Dragon Ball and stuff that they could add to the game, and obviously you can always continue to, you know, change the gameplay and patch the game. They could easily extend the lifespan of this game by a very, especially with the addition of rollback, because like rollback, like I said, it's not going to completely fix the game, but it is going to help a lot. But rollback on top of continuing to support the game with patches and DLC, you could easily make this last another 5 to 10 years if you really wanted to. So, but it's, somebody doesn't care enough, or somebody doesn't want to. Either that, or maybe they really are working in the shadows. I'm not convinced. A lot of people really believe that there's something like a Fighters 2 or the next big anime game that ArcSys is working on, like that's in the shadows. I'm not convinced. I'm not buying it. I don't know if that's me being pessimistic or what. I call it being realistic, but I'll believe it when I see it. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. I would love a Naruto FighterZ. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I pray for it every night and day. But yeah. This looks like an interesting comment that as I read the first few lines, I see a lot of myself in here. So let's read it from Warrior Console. DBFZ used to be my favorite game of all time. You and I both, buddy. It got me into the Dragon Ball franchise, and now I consider myself a huge fan. Oh, it got you into Dragon Ball? That's lit. That's really cool. Bro, I wonder how many other people got into Dragon Ball because of Dragon Ball FighterZ. It had that easy to play type of gameplay that was so much fun for me when I was a casual. I was one of those weirdos who really enjoyed the story mode. Just between you and I like the story mode too. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I played it twice actually. And this game helped me get into more competitive, same, and I was hoping that I can join a tournament someday. Competitive was so fun, and I enjoyed making online videos on it despite not getting the most views compared to other games. I've later tried other games like Guilty Gear Strive or Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and while I do have some fun with them, They aren't as easy to get into. I've been playing since mid-season 2, and for me, season 3 was the best of the game. Actually, I might run a poll on Twitter to see what people's favorite season of the game was, because it seems for like a lot of people it's season 3. For me, season 3 was the beginning of the end. I had the most fun in season 1 and 2. But season 3 seems to be probably the most popular if I had to take a guess. The last patch was, in my opinion, a disappointment, agreed. While there were good changes, it still didn't fix the mashing gameplay that this game had, but they were double downing on it, as some were saying. Vegeta Blue is my main, and I didn't care if he was getting buffed or not. I was more worried that they'll make the same changes to him too. I tried playing online since the last patch, and I just couldn't keep playing anymore, and now I just lost interest in playing and watching videos of the game, and I haven't since. I noticed this video, and I was surprised to hear that the fusions were still running this game. The change they got was indeed lazy in my opinion, but it still wasn't bad either. Either way, I just find the online unplayable, and I don't have high hopes for the next patch. And for the most part, I feel them. The point of these videos isn't to be like super pessimistic and like down on the game, but it's just to be open and honest about what everyone's thinking and feeling about the game right now. And I hope somebody at ArcSys or Bandai that has some sort of pull or leverage or can make some sort of a difference sees this, like is reading comments, is reading tweets, is looking into Twitch chats, is watching these videos, because this is how y'all making us feel. This is how y'all have made everyone feel. Everyone's like, I used to love this game. It used to be the greatest game of all time. And then they kept doing dumb change after dumb change after dumb change, and now I hate it. And it's just so ironic, because and this is what makes it like even more like tone deaf. Is that the word I want to use? Tone deaf, the expression. This is what makes it feel even more like they really don't listen or care, because they had the audacity to come out and say that we feel as though the game has been tuned to its finest, or something along those lines, right? I forget the exact quote, but y'all know the line I'm referencing, right? They were like, yeah, Dragon Ball FighterZ has been tuned to perfection. This is the finest that we've ever took the game. And mind you, at this point in the game, we're all kind of like, damn, this game kind of sucks right now. Like, the community is literally talking about how bad they think the current state of the game is, and they come out and say, we think that Dragon Ball FighterZ has been tuned to its finest. Like, bro, how much more disconnected can you possibly be from your community? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, that was the icing on the cake for me. When they came out and said that, I was just like, you can't be serious, because most people are not happy with the game right now, and the people who were playing it were continuing to play in hopes that things were going to change, not because if they thought the changes that were made were good. I promise you. And that's still the case. The majority of people who are still playing are not playing because like, oh my god, the game is so good now. They're playing because like they're clinging on to hope that like, oh god, I hope rollback in this next patch changes something for the better, please, for the love of god. And again, my sentiments exactly. Another comment saying that they lost interest years ago. Heartbreak. Oh wait, no, he's singing the Persona song in the background. Only fighting game I know that hasn't released costumes or new stages. Now here's a comment that I'll read because it actually seems to have a very differing opinion. Loda's been watching you for years, so I definitely am a fan of your content. However, I think this video is just spreading some pretty unnecessary hatred to the game, which is, again, ironically, like I just spoke on this, which is not the point of these videos. If you love the game, I encourage you to keep playing. It makes no difference to me whether or not somebody agrees with my opinion, or if, you know, just because I don't like something doesn't mean I don't think other people should like something. Like, I'm not happy with the game. I don't think most people are happy with the game. If you are, I love that for you. I wish I could be in your shoes. I want with all my heart to still love the game the way that I did for the first 3.5 years, basically. You know what I'm saying? DBZ has been around for about 5 years and really hasn't changed all that much in the grand scheme of things. I have to strongly disagree with that. Strongly. The game being more mashy now is not my experience at all. You're very unique. You're very unique in that experience, because I think the majority of commenters are saying that the game's very mashy, especially playing at a higher level. Well, higher level is very subjective. I don't know exactly what you consider a higher level and what the level is that you play at, but I've played with everybody from Cybermen ranks and beginners all the way up to Nitro, Pred, Sonic Fox to Kill Sage, and you know what I'm saying? I've played with the beginner of the beginner and the literal best of the best. So I've got I would, you know, not that I'm at that level, but I've got a pretty wide range of experience and you know, matches under my own belt. So I'm not really sure what skip neutral buttons you're referring to. The only character in the game that had a skip neutral button was LabCoat21. That's just simply not true. Okay, this feels okay. I'm not trying to like call this person out. Like I didn't go into this. I didn't read the full thing before I went into it, but this comes off to me as like you're the one with a very, very biased and misinformed and kind of like limited or ignorant like perspective, in my opinion, because LabCoat's skip neutral, I'm not denying that existed. It definitely did, but I like LabCoat as a character, so I played her. But that is derived from the origin of what Bardock had in his Lariat. The game evolved in a way that made it so that more characters had skip neutral stuff like that. Like they buffed Blue Goku and Teen Gohan's like lariats to be more like Bardock's. They added more characters that have stuff that are full screen moves. Then not only do they have these full screen lariat moves, they started making them better and better. Bardock's was a lariat, right? That was like -1 on block, he had a 6-frame jab, and that was crazy, right? And it jailed into vanish. They kind of took that away, but they gave more characters these moves that went like full screen, but they started making them even better, where it's like, oh, this move is like nearly full screen. Also, by the way, you get combo off of it now without having to spend additional resource. Like this gives you a wall bounce, right? Or not only does this move give you full combo, but now it's also still safe and it's medium scaling. Oh, by the way, now we have a character that has a move that's full screen, safe on block, has a full combo on hit, gives you medium scaling, and is projectile invul. So there was a constant evolution of these moves. So to say that LabCoat's the only one that had skip neutral when Bardock existed, Blue Goku exists, Teen Gohan exists, Super Saiyan Vegeta exists, Base Goku exists, Base Vegeta exists, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, obviously, I'm bugging. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, some of the better ones. Even Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, like no. Like your perspective is definitely a little warped. I'm not gonna hold you. Either way, LabCoat is nerfed now and the game is fine. If you're bored, you're bored. You've made a lot of great content, probably burnt yourself out. I'm not burned out on the game. I think the game sucks. Bro, I'd be lying to y'all if I said I don't wake up almost daily at this point still wanting to play the game. But I know that when I jump on the game, I'm not having fun anymore. It's not because I'm burned out. I'm not burned out. I still enjoy YouTube and making content and playing fighting games and everything. But the game isn't anywhere near as fun for me as it used to be, and plenty of others agree. Like I said, this comes off way more to me, ironically, as you're trying to convince me that your opinion is the right one, and that I'm just like some bitter old man. Well, like no, like I still encourage people to play the game. I don't want the game to die. I'm doing everything in my power I can to help the game, at least in my opinion, to help the game continue to live. Say the game is in a bad place is just incorrect. No, it's an opinion, so it's not really a matter of right and wrong. But everybody that seems to hate the game right now are just people that have been playing it for 8 hours a day, every day for the past 3 to 5 years. Again, simply not true. Several comments that we just read, they said they started the game in season 3. So again, just not true. It sounds much more like burnout than a bad game to me. I think you're the one with just a very, very, very biased individual perspective that applies specifically to you, and very much not the majority. He seems like I'm trying to nudge people away from the game because you don't like it anymore. You're just simply wrong. You're simply just wrong. I get where you're coming from, but you're simply just very incorrect on that. I mean, hell, literally the very next comment underneath it comes from somebody else who says they only started in season 3 and they still feel like the game needs a completely new slate. So the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Another comment saying the game is past its prime. Picked up the game in late season 3, still in love with the game. Yeah, what's interesting to me is that there are so many people who started in season 3, and now I'm curious to know, you guys let me know in the comments down below, when did you first buy or start playing Dragon Ball FighterZ? Was it from the very beginning? Was it one of the betas? Was it season 1, season 2, season 3? There are a lot of you, that only started in season 3, which is so interesting to me, which reminds me that like I need to go back and start doing. Remember that series I started where I was going back and like rewatching old match footage from like the first 2 seasons? I need to get back to doing that because there's so many of you who haven't seen gameplay and like really hyped sets and tournament matches from back then that get me really excited that we need to go back and watch together. Another comment, I bought like 6 new characters like 2-3 months ago and I was so excited to say the game. I haven't touched it. Yeah, still love the game, So there definitely are still people who love the game, and that's great. Like anybody who is still in love with this game and you can still play it on a daily basis or even for a couple hours a day or like a couple times a week, game is rotting. I commend you. I'm speaking from my own experience as well, and as far as I can tell, the experience and the feelings of the majority. Like I'm just reading what's in front of me. I am a decently prominent figure in the community, by far not the most popular, by far not the most skilled, by far not the most experienced or educated, but a lot of you guys look up to me as like one of the heads of the figures of Dragon Ball FighterZ for whatever that may mean or for whatever that's worth. Cool, I respect and acknowledge that. And so I'm just, this is the community feedback. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. Still been playing the game heavily, and that's what's up. That's what's up. And I'm still gonna take my time out after this video to read through some more of these and reply to you guys individually, by typing some comments. But yeah, I mean, it's more of the same. It's seemingly more of the same, and I don't blame anyone that has dropped the game or is still playing it to this day. That's you get a mix. I will say though, one thing that I see a lot is people saying that they need to just give us a sequel or they should just make a second game. And look, I would love that. Since season 3, basically, People have always asked me, especially like when I was streaming the game very heavily or whatever, hey Lowe's, would you rather have another season or would you rather have a sequel? And I always said a sequel. Now, one of the biggest reasons why I always said a sequel back then was because I felt like if they made a sequel, we were much more likely to get rollback. Then obviously when it comes to DLC or whatever, they could always add whatever they wanted into another game just as easily as they could in the first game. You know what I'm saying? So you would just get a lot more new content, a new boom for the game, whatever. It'd be great. I always felt like having a sequel would be much better than another season. And I feel like we never truly got another full season after season 3. Like people might call this season 3.5, 4, 4, 5. I don't know what you want to call it. And to me, this is still season 3 because I never felt like it was a new official season. Because to me, like a new season, like isn't just a balance patch, it's also like a new wave, like a new season pass, and this is not whatever, you know what I'm saying? And we never really got that. It's not really here nor there. It's semantics-ish kind of. I don't know. That's not the important part. But you know, I see a lot of people saying that they want a sequel, and trust me, I would love that. I really would. I just don't know if it's gonna happen, and a lot of people are convinced that it will happen just because like it makes sense. It's the logical thing for them to do, but I don't really think it's that simple because how many games have been super successful and would print money if they got a sequel and don't have it? How many years did people ask for Raging Blast 3? How many years have people been asking for Xenoverse 3? We don't have either of those. Now you can go say, hey, we got a Tenkaichi 4, and that's like 2 decades later. Like, you know how long we waited for that? And we thought basically that was never gonna happen. And so with that, I guess you could say that the possibility is never zero, right? Because 10 years from now, we could randomly get a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for one, you can't bank on something like that. 2, in 10 years, who gonna care? I mean, we would care. I would care, you know what I'm saying? I might not be here in 10 years, so, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? Yeah, no, all jokes aside, it's like I just don't think it's likely is all I'm saying. There's plenty of games out there, and I'm just like talking about Dragon Ball games. There's plenty of video games out there where it's like, oh yeah, this game sold millions of copies and made all this money. There will absolutely be another one, and then they didn't get one. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like after 5 years, if there was going to be a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2, we would have heard something by now. Yeah. Also, there's obviously a lot of talk of mashing in this game, and I know that I myself am very well known for complaining about mashing. And the thing is, like, for one, right, I think we have very different definitions of complaining. I consider myself acknowledging or observing. I feel like when I acknowledge my opponent as mashing, people are like, oh my god, he's always complaining about mashing, it's a fighting game. Like, I get that. I'm not fucking stupid. I've been playing fighting games my whole life, and I have 5,000 hours in DBFZ. I understand that auto combos have always been the game. People have always mashed square. I've been a Bardock player since season 1. Like, you don't have to explain these things to me. I get it. The point is, for one, like when I say, oh, my opponent mashed, I'm just it's an acknowledgement. I'm making live time commentary of my gameplay. I'm saying, oh, I'm acknowledging he mashed here, or he got away with this. Like, I was trying to do this, it didn't work out. He pushed the button here, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing. Second of all, mashing is going to exist in every fighting game, no matter what. Again, something you don't need to tell me, something I'm well aware of. Doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge it verbally when it happens or when I see it. Especially in a situation like, oh, I was plus there, he mashed, he somehow got away with it, he should have died there. You know what I'm saying? But the thing as it pertains to mashing as it currently exists in this game is that it's encouraged now more than ever before, and you get away and get rewarded very highly for doing things that aren't exactly logical or the smartest option to do. And I feel like that's where the issue really is. Like, I don't have a problem with auto combos existing, right? I think auto combos in the game are cool. I do have a problem to some degree with auto combos anti-airing and with you getting the reward that you can off of some auto combos, but that's a discussion for another day. And we kind of touched on that in the video that I did with Diaphone not too long ago. But yeah, like I said before, the main thing about it is really just the risk versus reward and just how encouraged you are in the game currently to be as chaotic and random as possible. There's always going to be a chaotic element. There's always going to be a random element. And particularly when you're playing a game online with so many different people of so many different play styles and backgrounds and levels of experience and skill levels, yeah, there's going to be people who have no clue what they're doing and they're literally just slamming buttons. There's going to be people who at random times are just going to be doing something just off of feel. And there's going to be players who are skilled in doing things in a very precise manner, or skilled, but then they're doing things at random times to throw you off because it's that level of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just is what it is. And I feel like people to some degree like think I don't understand that or realize that, or like I just think, oh, all mashing is bad. If you're a filthy masher, like as if I don't also mash at times. Like, no, it's part of fighting games. People hear me say the word and they immediately see red, and I just whatever. But I digress. I'm with you guys. That I hope for great changes for the game, but I'll keep my expectations low. Hopes high, expectations low, and that's just how I feel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all this content that I'm bringing you. With all the being said, it's pretty much off today, and remember, nothing can happen to you swing the bat. Later.